Yeah! The Philadelphia 76ers win a basketball game versus the New Orleans Pelicans on a night where Joel Embiid drops 40 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, was a plus 10. On the celebration night, the 25th anniversary of the 2001 NBA 76ers team that went to the NBA Finals, that's what I was trying to say. Joel Embiid has a masterful game on the celebration night for the 2001 team. A lot of ups and downs. It wasn't pretty. A lot of things we're going to talk about. I want to hear from you in the chat. Thank you for being here on the backup channel while I work on getting the other channel back up and running. But this is still brought to you by our friends at Bright Medical Technology of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Bright Medical is Pennsylvania's largest medical supplier and pharmacy, specializing in ambulatory aids like walkers and wheelchairs, oral nutrition, tube feeding supplies, diabetic supplies, including diabetic shoes and glucose monitors, incontinence supplies, catheters. If you're having trouble breathing, Bright Medical has nebulizers, inhalers, spacers, all breathing medications. Bright Medical accepts most insurance companies, services patients of all ages, delivers anywhere in Pennsylvania, either by hand, delivery, or UPS. They have a staff that speaks 15 languages, and you always speak to a real person. Never an automated system like me trying to get my other YouTube channel up, going back and forth with this automated Google system every day. You don't have to do that with Bright Medical when you have an issue or you want to buy something or you just have a question. You just call them, and it's real people. If you need any medical support and run it back Philly, go to brightmedi.com or call 215-725-MEDS. That's 215-725-6337. Thank you to Bright Medical for sponsoring the channel. Thank you for listening on YouTube. Hit the like button over here on DJ Eastwood TV. I would appreciate that. And subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed. This is my backup YouTube channel. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other podcast platform, do me a favor and give us a follow. It helps out the channel greatly. It helps out the podcast greatly. You guys are great. Thank you for coming through. Let's get down to business, man. Sixers win 124-114 against the New Orleans Pelicans. And here's the first thing I want to say. I saw a different level of effort from the beginning of this game all the way through most of the game. But in general, compared to the Kings game, I saw a different level of effort from these players, from this 76ers team. They looked like they cared. They looked like they weren't out there to mess around. They looked like they were taking it seriously. And it looked like they knew, hey, we almost blew a bad one last night or 2 nights ago against the Kings that shouldn't have been that close. And this Pelicans team has way more talent than that Kings team. If we come out here tonight and mess around the way that we did against the Kings last night, they're going to blow us out of the water. And so, that just from the jump, they just looked like they had a lot more energy, urgency, and they were taking the game a lot more serious. And I want to tell you this. After that Kings game, I had a TikTok and an Instagram reel, okay, that kind of blew up a little bit where I was angry because I didn't care that they won the game. I thought it was a ridiculous effort. I thought it should have never been there. I was actually upset that they even won because I thought they deserved to lose. Kelly Oubre liked that reel on Instagram. Yes, the actual Kelly Oubre's verified Instagram page liked that reel. Me yelling about the 76ers' pathetic lack of effort in that Kings game. He liked that reel. And so Kelly Oubre agreed. At least Kelly Oubre agreed their effort was not there in the Kings game and it was unacceptable. And they come out in this game and they look locked in from the beginning. They looked like the effort was there. They looked like they were taking it serious. So I think I'm at least 1% responsible. Listen, I made the reel. I called him out. Kelly Oubre liked it. I'm at least 1% responsible for the way the 76ers played tonight. You got to give me at least 1%. You have to. I'm just a dude who made a podcast studio in his attic. And Kelly Oubre liked the reel, and then they come out this game and they play harder. I'm just saying, you got to admit, it's at least 1%. It was at least 1% me, okay? But they did look a little bit more serious in this game compared to that Kings game, and I was happy about that. Now, it went back and forth a little bit, right? They were up by, I think, 17 in the first half. They did have their third quarter. They had a third quarter. Listen, guys, let me tell you something. Every night, I have a vanilla Greek yogurt and granola, okay? Every single night, I have a vanilla Greek yogurt and granola with some peanut butter chips on it, okay? Because it's a great snack. It's delicious. I replaced it with ice cream a while ago, but because it's healthier. But anyway, every night the 76ers have a terrible third quarter. Just the Sixers' nightly snack is the third, except it's the opposite. It would be that if I still ate ice cream at night, it would be the Sixers' third quarter because ice cream's not good for you and they're terrible in the third quarter. And not a good analogy, but you know where I'm going with it. Every single night, the Sixers' third quarter. Look at this one. The first quarter was 33-31. I was a little bit nervous after the third quarter because the Pelicans were on pace to have their second best scoring game of the season. 33-31. Second quarter, Sixers go on the run, started ramping up the defense, and held the Pelicans to 21 points in the second quarter. They won the second quarter by 15, 36-21. Joel Embiid was cooking the entire first half. What do you have, 24 in the first half, or 20, maybe 26. Third quarter, the Sixers lose 27-20. And the fourth quarter, they finish them off with a 37-point fourth quarter. It still blows my mind. How is the third quarter this bad? 31 in the first, 36 in the second, 37 in the fourth. 20 points in the third quarter. And somehow, some way, Joel Embiid, who was dominating the entire game, had a goose egg in the third quarter. They have to figure out this third quarter, man. It's crazy. I'm pretty sure the Pelicans started the third quarter on a ripping off 5 or 7 straight points. It just always starts with the other team just ripping off like 5 or 10. I don't understand how it's every third quarter. But anyway, they did it again. They died in the third quarter. The Pelicans actually ended up being up by 3 or 4 in this one. At some point, maybe that was the end of the third or the beginning of the fourth. And then the 76ers went on the run to put it away. They started playing tougher defense. They started boxing out and rebounding. They didn't get killed on the boards in this game. I didn't look at the team stats. We'll look at that in a second. They didn't get killed on the boards. But they started ramping up the defense a little bit in the fourth. We got lucky on a couple of possessions in that run, right, where because Jose Alvarado just missed 2 wide open threes. So, again, make or miss league. Could have went completely in the other direction if he makes those shots. So, we get a couple of buckets. It was tied 103-103, I think, something like that. We get a couple of buckets. We get a couple of stops. Honestly, 2 of the stops were just wide open threes for Jose Alvarado, and he missed both of them. So, we're lucky on that. But anyway, got a little hairy around the third quarter. Got a little hairy beginning of the fourth quarter. And then we do what's supposed to be done. You know, when they were down by 3 in the fourth, I was like, are you really going to do this? On the night where you're honoring the 2001 team, they brought Eric Snow out there. They brought Allen Iverson out there. They had George, I want to call him George Hill, bro. I forget. George, damn. They had Matt Geiger out there. Not Matt Geiger. Todd McCulloch out there. They had Kerry Kittles out there. Kerry Kittles in the house. And I was like, you're really gonna do this? You're gonna blow this game to the New Orleans Pelicans in front of these fans after you celebrated, and they didn't do it. They pulled it out in the fourth quarter. And everybody kind of got involved in that fourth quarter a little bit because Tyrese Maxey wasn't majorly involved in the offense for most of the game because Joel was just cooking, and I thought really the Pelicans kept doubling Maxey even after they had slowed him down a little bit and Joel Embiid was just taking everybody one-on-one. The Pelicans kept their attention on Maxey most of the game, so I'm not really mad at Maxey's low scoring in this game. I thought he was effective. And then, when we needed it the most, Maxey had that little bit of a run in the fourth quarter. VJ had a run in the third quarter. I think VJ's run in the third quarter really saved us because that could have been a 12-point quarter if it wasn't for VJ Edgecombe in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, you get triple daggers, bro. Triple daggers. Right when it was it was getting a little hairy. I think it was around 7 points. And I was like, I still don't feel very comfortable with this. Tyrese Maxey back three, bang. Next possession, Maxey pick and pop with Embiid. It wasn't even a pick and pop, really. It was just the Pelicans just paying too much attention to Maxey and leaving Embiid open. The Pelicans were playing perimeter defense in this game, especially in the fourth quarter. I think a lot like the Sixers play perimeter defense sometimes when I get so mad at them for overhelping, And if you look at what Joel Embiid was doing in this game, their attention should have been on Joel Embiid, and even all the way down to that last three that Joel is shifting over to Maxey, and he just passes it to Embiid. Embiid's wide open right in front of Derek Queen, and he hits the three. So you get the Maxey three, the Embiid three, and then the very next possession, Kelly Oubre in the corner, skip pass, soccer style over the head, skip pass to VJ Edgecombe, wide open, top of the key. And I said it again out loud to my girlfriend sitting on the couch. She hears it so much now, she knows it. She knew it was going in. I said, fourth quarter VJ, that's money. Fourth quarter VJ, that's money. Splash. Fourth quarter VJ. He's not missing it in the fourth quarter. Something about the fourth quarter for VJ. But you get triple daggers there, man, and put the Pelicans away. So I'm not as look, the Sixers struggled in this game a little bit at times, right? And I think you could look at the Pelicans' record and feel the same way you felt about the Kings game. But if you watch the Pelicans, and I've watched a couple of Pelicans games this season, and they're one of my favorite teams to watch in the NBA outside of the Sixers this season just because of the young talent. They just destroyed the draft. Derek Queen and Derek Favors are two players that are so much fun to watch. And Trey Murphy and Herb Jones and, of course, Zion when he's in. They have a lot of talent, right? Saddiq Bey. I wasn't even going to mention Saddiq Bey. What did he have, 35 points tonight? Saddiq Bey was out of his mind. This dude, Messi, was out here volleyball spiking shots off the rim. He was blocking shots in the rafters. The last one that he blocked, it was a Maxey floater. He watched that replay. His head grazes the rim, And then you got, who was the big white dude that was throwing down like reverse alley-oops, reverse dunks off of alley-oops like it was a dunk contest. Look, what I'm saying is the New Orleans Pelicans have a ton of young talent, so I wasn't that annoyed at the Sixers struggling a little bit in this game versus how they were playing in the Kings game. The Kings game should have been a blowout. I wasn't as annoyed because I know the Pelicans have a lot of talent and they can score if you mess around. So this one, I was just happy that they got it together, got out of that disastrous third quarter and took care of business in the fourth. I feel about this game the way that some people were replying to my takes about the Kings game, where they were replying to my takes with the very typical, bro, they won the game. Who cares? They won the game, bro. You're really going to be mad after a win? That's how I feel about this one. They won the game, and I wasn't very annoyed with, the third quarter is still annoying. Fun to watch, too. It was a fun game to watch. And the Sixers took care of business. The triple daggers out there. The triple daggers. Let's go to the stats and talk about it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for hanging out here on the backup channel. How many live viewers we got here on the backup channel? We got 172 live. Hey, look what we're doing out here, bro. Look what we're doing out here. This is Sicko Nation, bro. Google can shut down my other channel. They didn't shut it down. It's locked currently because my associated email address got hacked, and they locked the email address for suspicious activity, so I can't log into the YouTube channel at this moment. But look what we're doing out here. This is real sicko shit, bro. I can go to a backup YouTube channel that had like 200 subscribers because I posted a couple of random videos on it months ago. And there's 200 of you in here. That's real sicko shit. That's awesome, man. You guys are awesome. Shout out to you guys, man. Miko Evangelista. Love it when I see multiple players have double-digit points. This is what they need to do more. Share the rock. Let others eat. Yeah, man, and I thought the story of the game really obviously was Joel Embiid. And I just did a little 20-minute rant about the game, and I really didn't even talk about what Joel Embiid did that much. So let's start there. Let's start with Joel Embiid when we go to the stats, man. Let's go over to the stats, and let's start with Joel Embiid. Joel had 40 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, a plus 16, 13 for 27, 3 for 5, 11 for 14 from the free throw line. He did have 5 turnovers, and the one I believe in the beginning of the fourth quarter was a bad one, and the Pelicans came down and hit a 3, and that's where I started to get nervous. But they got it together. Now, look, he had 11 rebounds. I love that. I love that from Joel Embiid. He should always have over 10 rebounds at 7'2", 300 pounds, playing 40 minutes. 7 defensive rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. Shout out to Joel Embiid for fighting under the boards. But from the beginning of this game, he was just cooking, and the Pelicans really didn't switch up their strategy. Now, it's not like they really have a center that can guard Joel Embiid at all. Derek Queen, welcome to the league, young fella. You know what I mean? Shout out to young Derek Queen, man. Look at that kid. Take a good look at Derek Queen, man. He looks like he's about 11. He looks like he might be 13 years old, bro. When you really, dude, he got a baby face. You know what I mean? And Derek Queen's out here, rookie season in the NBA. He's having himself a good rookie season. He's getting all the praise. He's an incredibly talented young player. Plays a lot like dude over in Denver. We're not going to say his name. He's got great handles, great passing ability. And he comes out here and says, oh, shit. I got to guard 7'2", 300-pound Joel Embiid tonight. Here's Derek Queen, man. He was like, I was looking at this game on the schedule in the offseason, and y'all told me Joel Embiid was cooked. DJ Eastwood, this dude on YouTube. I'm Derek Queen right now, everybody. Derek Queen was sitting here in the offseason, and he was like, this guy on YouTube told me that Joel Embiid was cooked. This idiot fucking Amish-looking freak on YouTube, he told me Joel was cooked. By the way, Amish-looking freak, it comes from, there's this one dude that makes YouTube videos, and he really hates me, and they don't get any views. But one time, RB sent me one of his videos, and he makes just specific videos hating on me, dude, and it's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, and he called me an Amish-looking freak, and I never forgot it. I was crying in tears laughing. Anyway, Derek Queen's like, this dude on YouTube told me Joel's cooked. We get all the way to January 31st. I go out there. Joel Embiid suits up. Not just Joel Embiid suits up. Joel Embiid, healthy. The healthiest he's looked in 2 years. And he starts giving me the business. No, he was giving Derek Queen the business. I think Joel went right at him in the first possession of the game. Just shoulder to his chest, knocked him out of the way, laid the ball in. Welcome to the league, young rookie. And Joel was just giving him the business left and right. There's nothing Derek Queen could do, but you can't even fault him. Who can stop? There's only a couple players in the history of the game that can stop a healthy Joel Embiid. And Derek Queen obviously is not one of them. And Joel just got busy. Now, the third quarter, I got a little nervous because recently Joel Embiid has been cooking in the first half, kind of fallen off in the second half. He had a goose egg in the third, made me a little nervous, and then he dominated in the fourth quarter again. But I think the 76ers played, I'm pretty sure he had a goose egg in the third. Yeah, he did, 0 points in the third. And then he had 17 points in the fourth quarter to put him away. 17 in the fourth quarter Joel Embiid had. But I thought the 76ers played the game perfectly as far as flow and kind of pecking order. Joel Embiid was cooking. The Pelicans, for some reason, continued to double-team Tyrese Maxey. They rarely doubled Joel Embiid the whole game. And they just kept going to Joel Embiid. And so this is one of those games where you don't have to complain about Joel hogging the ball or them only going through Joel or running the whole game through Joel. This is exactly what they should have been doing, right? And then they struggled in the third. And then, Maxey had his little run in the fourth quarter. VJ hit a big three in the fourth quarter. It was a little bit more of a balanced attack throughout. But really, it was Joel Embiid the entire game, and the New Orleans Pelicans didn't have an answer for it at all. I want to say something about Zion Williamson, man. Because I haven't watched Zion Williamson yet this season. I watched him. I've watched a couple of Pelicans games. I have watched Zion Williamson this season. I lied. I've watched a couple of Pelicans games, and probably 3, 4, or 5 Pelicans games, honestly, because I like to watch them, but only a couple of those, only maybe one of those Zion Williamson was in. I feel like it was against the Rockets. I'm not sure, but he was very aggressive in that game that I was watching. He was nowhere in this game. I'm not sure what Zion Williamson did today, or if he didn't sleep last night or what, but he was embarrassingly bad in this game. I don't think he scored a point in the first quarter, or the first half entirely, at all. He went on a little bit of a run in that third quarter, and funny enough, it was right after I tweeted Zion Williamson his ass, or whatever I tweeted. He had 3 points in the third. What did he have the run in? He had 8 points in the fourth. So the beginning of the fourth, when the Pelicans took the lead, that was Zion Williamson's biggest spurt of the game, and it was right after I tweeted Zion Williamson his ass. It happens to me every time. I need to stop tweeting. But anyway, Zion Williamson, most of the game I was like, bro, this guy was supposed to be an NBA star. Do you remember the hype coming out of that draft for Zion Williamson? And here you are, 5, 6 years later? And he's giving you 11 points, 5 rebounds, a minus 17. He was just not effective in the game at all. And really, Zion Williamson's lack of outside shot is always going to be a thing that holds him back. And he doesn't have the work ethic to get there. He straight up doesn't have the work ethic to get that outside shot and make it a part of his game. He still plays the game the same way he did in high school, the same way he did in college, the same way he did his rookie season. All he can really do is attack the rim. And when you front him and you run some zones, the Sixers switch to zone at some point in that second half a little bit. That might have had to do with Zion Williamson getting in the paint a little too much. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to go back and watch it. But if you wall off Zion, he's got nothing. It's a lot like, I hate to say this, it's a lot like what teams used to do to Ben Simmons. Just back up. He's got nothing. I thought Zion was wildly disappointing. Jeremiah Fears, nice player. He had some nice little runs there. I loved watching Jeremiah Fears the times that I've watched him this season. Sadiq Bey gave us 34, 6, and 3. And Trey Murphy, 19 and 9. I like Trey Murphy a lot, too. It would be nice if at least one of these players would end up on the 76ers team after this trade deadline. We'll just have to see. Maxey, 18, 5, and 8 was a +5. Only 1 turnover while having the ball in his hands the entire game. And the pass to he had the lob to VJ in the first half. That was beautiful. He had a fast break dish to Barlow in the second half. He had the dish to Embiid for the dagger at the end. And VJ 15, 3, and 5 was a +7. And fourth quarter VJ with the dagger also. We got the triple dagger there in the fourth quarter. Maxey hits a three. Embiid hits a three. VJ hits a three. See you later. Good night. And shout out to Jared McCain. Jared McCain, even with Quentin Grimes being healthy in this one, which I'm not sure why Quentin Grimes was out. They said ankle injury. I don't remember him hurting his ankle. But Jared McCain gave you 12. Where's Grimes at? Oh, no. I didn't even think about this. We gotta discuss this one, guys. Jared McCain off the bench, 17 minutes, gave you 12 points. He hit 4 3-pointers, so this is the second game in a row. I think Jared McCain had 17 against the Kings. Second game in a row. His shot starts falling a little bit. Nick Nurse gives him a little bit more minutes. And he's starting to look a little bit like the player we saw at the beginning of last season before that knee injury. And then you look at Quentin Grimes. 16 minutes gives you 4 points, 4 rebounds. Was a -3. Shout out to Jared McCain. And as we get closer to this trade deadline, I'm telling you, I know Quentin Grimes has a no-trade clause, but he could waive it if he wants to. And if I'm the 76ers, I don't think Quentin Grimes is going to be here after this offseason anyway. And I'm not giving up yet on Jared McCain. Shout out to Jared McCain, for what he did in this game and the Kings game and, getting his game back a little bit, man. I'm really happy about that. Shout out to 203 people in here. Let's get to the chat. Oh, yeah, we got a couple more things because I know you guys are going to ask about it in the chat. So let's go there. First things first. I ranted a little bit earlier today on the Paul George situation right when it happened. I went live like 5 or 10 minutes after it happened. I had none of the information. I just went live and we read it on Twitter live. So if you want my reaction to the Paul George suspension, that is also on this channel, DJ Eastwood TV. It's the stream right before this one. It was just a couple of hours ago. But we got to talk about how the 76ers end up getting cap relief because of the Paul George suspension. And no, I don't think it's a conspiracy of some sort. But I didn't pull it up. Let me see if I can find it, man. Paul George. We could probably type in Paul George luxury tax and come up with this one. Here it is. Paul George's. If you guys haven't heard this is insane. This is insane because we were talking about how the Sixers are probably going to trade Andre Drummond at the trade deadline to try to get under the luxury tax because that's all Josh Harris cares about. Joel Embiid calls out Josh Harris in a postgame. Straight up, he said the past couple of years, all we've done is duck the tax. Hopefully we do something at the trade deadline to improve the team and try to win. And like a day later, maybe 2 days later, Paul George fails a drug test, gets suspended for 25 games. Now, I'm not going to speculate anymore on what the drugs were that Paul George took. If it was what he claims a mental health medication. I don't believe that. It sounds like bullshit to me. It sounds like he's trying to just pull the mental health card like Ben Simmons did back in the day. But anyway, Paul George's 25-game suspension will cost him $11.7 million, first of all. Holy fucking moly. Imagine that. Imagine you're an NBA player. Now, look. If you're making that much money, you should be investing, you should be saving the money, right? Because I don't even know how you would even spend that much money. Paul George makes $1 million a week. Me and my simple middle to lower class brain, I have no idea what you would even have to do to spend $1 million a week. You know what I'm saying? But say you're an NBA player who lives a little bit more of a Floyd Mayweather lifestyle, right? Say you just got 25 Bugattis and 16 houses and you just spend all your money. You don't save any of it. You don't invest any of it. You get suspended and you lose $12 million in 25 days. That's a lot of money. And I don't think Paul George blows his money like that. So, but I don't know. I don't think that's. I mean, that's big for anybody. I shouldn't even say that's not a big deal. Anybody that loses $12 million, that's a lot of money. So Paul George loses $11.7 million. Hopefully you save your money and you invest your money, Podcast Pete, because if you don't, good luck. This is the funny part. The Philadelphia 76ers will receive a luxury tax credit worth half of that amount. So because Paul George gets suspended, the 76ers save $6 million on the luxury tax. Brings them from $7 million over the luxury tax to just $1.3 million. So the 76ers are now almost under the luxury tax because Paul George got suspended. Isn't that insane? Now you can simply release Kyle Lowry and you're under the luxury tax. That's all you got to do. Just release Kyle Lowry and you're under the luxury tax. You don't have to trade Andre Drummond, even though they didn't play Andre Drummond again in this game. I still feel like they're going to trade him for some reason. I don't know. I do want to say also that Daryl Morey has made a trade at the deadline every time he has been. Bugattis are investments. Are they really? Don't cars lose value as soon as you drive them off the lot? I guess Bugattis are investments because they're rare. Whatever. You know the point I'm making, bro. You know what I'm saying. Anyway. Daryl Morey has made a trade every trade deadline since being the president of the 76ers, so we'll see what he does at the trade deadline, but they're closer to the luxury tax now because of the Paul George suspension, and that's just wild. Now, also, there's also this. Somebody sent me this. It might be in my DMs. Let me check. I got to get that off the screen so I can see. Somebody sent me Charles Barkley giving his thoughts on the Paul George situation. And maybe if I just type in Charles Barkley, Paul George. If you haven't heard it, you got to hear it. Because I feel the same. Okay? Brick Center. Brick Center on Twitter. Post this. And this is a 3-minute video. Let's just hear what Charles Barkley said because he's funny anyway. We'll just listen. Let me get it off the screen so I don't get copyright, but I'll let you listen to it. Oh, you can't hear that. Hold on. Can you hear that? No, you can't hear that. Hold on. Producer, you're fired. There we go. Let's listen to what Charles Barkley has to say about the Paul George situation.
We're above 500 last year, haven't been below.
Everybody ready to go.
That's Shaq. We don't care what Shaq said.
But this is a guy with experience like.
Well, medicine that he was taking, but that is a contradictory of terms.
They're calling him out here. Okay, let's hear what Kenny Smith said.
Well, if this is the accuracy of what happened, isn't this an oxymoron? Like a contradictory of terms? You have mental health and you're taking medicine for it that you can't. That would be, to me, that's why I don't understand it. I'm not sure what drug or medicine that he was taking, but that is a contradictory of terms. So I'm sure that Adam Silver wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't
exactly
add up to me because, again, it's just.
Bro, that's what I said. Somebody tweeted, Adam Silver suspended Paul George for taking mental health medication and like a devil horns on Adam Silver. And I was like, bro, there's other NBA players that are on like SSRIs, that are on medicine for depression, anxiety, and things like that. They're not suspending you for mental health medication. They're just not. Unless it was Adderall that's like prescribed for ADHD and stuff. But I don't even, it doesn't make sense. The NBA wouldn't suspend you for a medication that your doctor thinks you should take for your mental health. It's bullshit, bro. Anyway, let's continue.
It's a contradiction. If you have mental health, there is nothing that you should take that help you that you can't take.
That's on that list.
Exactly.
There wouldn't be a list for that.
Chad.
There wouldn't be a list for that.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not on that list.
It couldn't be.
But even if it's on the list,
they would let you take
They will let
for
you take
mental
that
health.
for mental health.
For mental health.
And listen, Kenny, I'm 100% agree with you. It's something fishy going on here. Now, I don't joke around about mental health, but if you're taking some for mental health, that's got to be an outlier to the NBA.
Not a performance enhancing
Yes,
drug.
come on, man.
That just doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make. Listen, like I say, it's
I was arguing with people on Twitter today. I'm like, bro, he's lying. Why? You guys believe that? He's obviously lying.
my girl Judge Judy said. If it doesn't make sense to me, it don't make sense because I like Paul George, but if the NBA and, DeMar DeRozan, who we love, and Kevin Love, they've been the two most. But if you're taking some for mental health, even if it's on a list, you should get a hall pass. So this does not sound.
Is that the rule, though? I mean,
no. No,
I don't know the rule, but that just doesn't make sense.
Like, there's never a good reason taking performance-enhancing drugs, Shaq. But if you're taking a drug for your mental health, you should get a hall pass.
And I would put it like this: if you were having a heart attack, and they gave you medicine to stop your heart attack, and then you played 2 weeks, and that wouldn't stop you from playing. Like, to me, the league wouldn't do that. So there has to be something.
I agree. I find it very hard to believe that the league would be like, hey, you took something the doctor prescribed to help you with depression. Here's a 25-game suspension. I find it hard to believe the NBA would do that. Paul George is lying. I just wanted to cover that here at the end of this show. But yeah, the 76ers win. It was a little bit back and forth, got a little bit hairy, still a disgusting third quarter. Joel Embiid came around and dropped 17 in the fourth. Derek Queen, welcome to the NBA. I hope you had fun trying to guard Joel Embiid. He's just playing as close to his MVP self that I could have ever imagined at this point. I didn't even think it's blowing me away. What Joel Embiid looks like right now, it's absolutely blowing me away. And as I choke on my own air, maybe I need mental health medication. Maybe I need a nebulizer from Bright Medical. Joel Embiid's blowing me away, and if he stays healthy, you're a contender. Again, I've said this for years. It doesn't matter who's on the team. If Joel Embiid is healthy, you're a contender. And the East is weak. I think the Sixers could take the East if they stay healthy. And with or without Paul George, by the way. I just told somebody else today, if you guys can't figure out, sometimes I fall into this trap. My day is arguing with random people on the internet. But anyway, I just told someone else today, so one of these people that thinks like the 76ers are screwed because, oh, here we go, DLC in the chat. We need Paul George stopped. Bro, it's like I summoned you. I summoned you. I spoke of the Sixers not needing Paul George, and you showed up. I said that the Paul George does not swing the pendulum either way enough. And somebody said, people were acting like we're screwed because Paul George got suspended. The 76ers don't need Paul George, bro. They absolutely do not need him. He's a player who is nice to have. It's a nice addition to your team. They don't need him. Watch. And I said, watch. I am betting that the 76ers have a better record over the next 25 games than they had over the previous 25 games. And I'm not talking about just games that Paul George plays in. I'm talking about the previous 25 games because Paul George plays once a week. All right? So if you take the 25 games that he's suspended, he was only going to play 10 of those anyway because he plays once a week. So how bad do you really need him? So I'm betting that the 76ers have a better record over the next 25 games than they had the previous 25 games. And then y'all can come back to me and tell me how bad they need PG. What they need to do is trade him at the deadline for a bag of chips. That's what they need to do. If there's any way possible to get rid of that bum, get him as far away from this team as possible. He is a loser. And honestly, bro, Paul George is one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. I'm not kidding. He's not smart. If Paul George was not 6'9", 220 pounds, he would be working at FedEx. And honestly, that is an insult to people working at FedEx. If Paul George was not 6'9", 220 pounds, he might be homeless. Listen to him talk one time, bro. He is a dipshit. That's why I couldn't stand the clips of the podcast keep popping up. The guy's just high off his ass, mumbling and rambling about nothing, trying to cover other teams in the NBA without doing any research whatsoever. He's just a fucking idiot, dude. He really is. And then he has the quote last year where they say, hey, do you have any advice for Joel Embiid when he comes back from the knee injury, like how he can, get back in, and any advice for him recovering from this injury? And he says, drugs help. He said that out loud to a reporter. What a moron, dude. Drugs help. And then a year later, this guy gets suspended for 25 games. This guy, dude, he's a dumbass. You got to admit that. You can love Paul George as a player. You can love him as a talent. He is a dumbass. You got to admit that. This is a guy, I'm sorry to say it, Eastwood After Dark, it's 10:47 p.m. This is a guy who knocked up a stripper and tried to pay her $1 million to have an abortion and got exposed. There's so many Paul George things we could talk about. I want that guy so far away from this team. He is the opposite of Philly mentality. He is you heard these players talk tonight. You heard Allen Iverson doing interviews. He is the opposite. He is the exact opposite of a Philadelphia 76ers player. Get him out of here. Don't even bring him back. If they can find a way to cancel the contract, please do it. Anyway. Yeah, he's a dumbass, dude. Come on, man. The guy posted a picture on his Instagram story with his... Never mind, dude. Just never mind. Hey, Sixers win. Thank you so much for coming through. This is the backup channel, DJ Eastwood TV. Run It Back Philly will probably be back on Monday. I'm hoping to get the email from Google on Monday morning. That's probably what's going to happen. But thank you so much for following me over to the backup channel and coming through for the post-game live. Continue to listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And the last thing I'm going to say is, if you're not following the Instagram page, you need to go follow at Run It Back Philly on Instagram. That's how I communicate with you guys, essentially. I have the Discord. I have some other things, but really, like, how I reach most of my audience outside of YouTube is on Instagram. And if it wasn't for Instagram, I don't even know how I would have gotten you all the 200 people that are listening live now, or the 8,000 people that watched the original Paul George reaction. So I'm grateful that I've built that Instagram page to 13,000 followers, I think, and you guys are highly engaged over there, and you're very active in replying to the reels and the stories and all that stuff on Instagram. So anytime something happens on YouTube, if you don't see me on YouTube and you say, yo, where's Eastwood? Always go check at Run It Back Philly on Instagram. Thank you guys for coming through. You are amazing. You are awesome. I will see you soon, whether it's on this channel or on Run It Back Philly. Sixers are 1-0 in the 25 game.